everyone. This is Melinda from the European Pain Federation, EFIC, and I'm here today with Luis Garcia-Larrea, the President-Elect of EFIC. Thank you so much for taking the time. Would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Melinda, to be there. I am Luis Garcia-Larrea. I just was elected future president of EFIC. It's just a great honor. And if I should present myself, I should say that I have two caps, one in clinical research and the other in clinics. So I have a background of clinical neurophysiology and neurology. And I am leading a research unit in clinical research on pain in Lyon, in France. So I passed part of my time seeing patients and part of my time just connecting with research, essentially in humans, aiming at understanding how pain is constructed in the brain, how to diagnose efficaciously and rapidly neuropathic pain, and how to treat it essentially with some non-pharmacological procedures, but also, of course, in my clinical work, using drugs of each of us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of a more background. Now, as President-elect, what is your vision for the European Pain Federation?
The European Pain Federation has a number of objectives that have been growing and increasingly being put into action, which are essentially three. One is to improve the education, research, and clinical management of pain. There is a second action, also very important, which is to promote multidisciplinary and multi-professional pain management. And then, of course, has a very important role in advancing the understanding and the knowledge of pain mechanisms, pain diagnosis, and the impact of society and individuals and management. Well, this is also my everyday job. So I think that one of the first things I need to do is to continue the task of my predecessors and continue to implement these three actions. Now, specifically, something that I would like to put forward very specifically is the connection between clinics and research. During my job and during my time as editor-in-chief of the European Journal of Pain, of which I'm still editor, I have get to know the gap that exists sometimes between the clinical proficiency of our colleagues, who are extraordinary clinicians, extraordinary doctors doing good to their patients, and the difficulties they may have when they have to translate this knowledge into research, into works, into clinical papers, so to pass on this knowledge to the community and to make things advance. On the other side, I see my colleagues doing research and basic research on pain, who do have this knowledge, this capacity of translating ideas into papers, into dissemination of knowledge, but they have sometimes very little action in what we call translational medicine, that is creating experiments, producing data that can be translated onto investigation in human beings, either because their models are not well adapted or just because they have no access to the real clinical problem. So I think that these two worlds should be put together. They are, of course, put together. We have already many examples of this. My job will be to improve and increase this connection, and essentially to promote the existence of binomial research, that is research conducted simultaneously by basic researchers and by clinicians. Another objective of this, which is the derivative from this, is to put some impetus into introducing researchers into clinical teams. That is, put the research at the heart of the very heart of clinical services, where they can observe which are the questions that the clinicians are asking themselves, and then put all their knowledge about techniques and about intellectual reasonings to the service of the real questions that clinicians are asking. And at the same time, promote the clinicians into entering the knowledge they can afford to translate their knowledge into words.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for telling us a bit more about your plans and your vision and the topics you would like to focus on. Do you have any activities of EFIC or any projects that you are very much looking forward to in promoting or being a part of, or just engaging more with them as president and president-elect?
Well, there are specific activities that can be implemented, and I have many ideas in the background that I suppose some of them will be feasible, other perhaps not. But on a practical way, for example, I think that it should be important for EFIC to promote what I call binomial grants. So to provide support simultaneously to a binomial, though by a researcher and a clinician. That is, not to the one or the other, but to a common project on the condition that this project is put forward by the two persons or the two teams simultaneously. Another action that can be implemented, and I think that this should be also useful, is to promote interconnection among national societies. The national societies have a very different life in Europe. Some of them are very powerful. They are getting ahead and promoting research and promoting clinics. Other societies, unfortunately, are just struggling to live. I think it is important to create a transversal, to create bridges among these societies, for example, by creating national congresses or by national meetings where each society can help. Some societies are very powerful in some aspects of treatment, let's say pharmacological treatment. Other societies put forward non-pharmacological aspects because of the composition of the societies, because the type of people that are getting there. So I think that one way also of doing this transferring knowledge among our colleagues is also transferring knowledge among the societies themselves.
Well, thank you so much, Luis, for taking the time and telling us a little bit more about your plans. We look forward to having you on the executive board.
Thank you very much, Melinda. Thank you for your time too.